And we are live. Hello, one and all, and welcome to this special Daniel Bryan career retrospective video that we are hosting. Please welcome two special guests that I have on with me today. The first you'll recognize, it's my friend Mike. Mike, say hello.
Yo, what's up?
Okay, and we have my other friend, special guest, Josh.
Hello.
And today, all three of us have come together to pay our respects, our best memories, to recollect on the amazing career of the one and only Daniel Bryan. As you all know, on February 8th, 2016, Daniel Bryan went into the ring for one final time to hang up his boots and close the door on what was an illustrious career as a professional wrestler. And what we're going to do in this video is just share some of our fondest memories of the legendary career that he had. So this is going to be in no particular order. We're just going to kind of go around the table here and just talk about the stuff that Daniel Bryan did and how it was amazing. So without further ado, hello, viewer number one. Thank you for watching. Mike, let's just, like I said, no particular order, your thoughts on Daniel Bryan's amazing career. What are some of your favorite memories from his career, looking back now?
Well, of course, as I've probably said several times, Daniel Bryan's road to the top to WrestleMania was definitely one of the things that first got me attracted to watching the WWE in the first place. His beginning at SummerSlam when Triple H screwed him over for the title to get into the main event of WrestleMania was an unbelievable ride. It was definitely probably one of the better WrestleMania moments in his career. Like looking back on it even further now, he came in, he had a lot of things to overcome, such as getting fired at the beginning of his career. He also he lost in the 18-second match to Sheamus at WrestleMania 28, but still, you look at that point that it made who he was. It started him off as that big ultimate underdog in his big rise to the top.
Yeah, I mean, you can go back to, Josh and I had a party to watch WrestleMania 28, and just looking back on that opening match, we thought it was going to be this, they thought they were going to get, a 20-minute match, as he said in his book, and It shocked us when it was only 18 seconds. Josh, you want to talk about, what a shocking moment that was just to see happen.
Yeah, before we even all got to sit down, everyone was still getting their food. We're
here we go, okay.
Settling in, and then all of a sudden, bro kick, and it's over.
Yeah,
like that. It
was really, really shocking, and sorry, I lost my train of thought there, but just the way that Daniel Bryan was able to take that negative and turn it into a positive was truly amazing. If you look in the long run, he was able to get more out of that than Sheamus was. Sheamus was supposed to be the big conquering babyface hero, and the crowd kind of turned on him, and really gravitated towards Bryan. And from there, that was really, if you look at it, that was the birth of the Yes Movement, because I know Josh remembers the Raw after WrestleMania 28. What was the crowd doing that night?
It's always a crazy crowd.
But yes chants the whole night. And I look back on that in Miami, Florida. They were chanting yes during The Rock's promo. And Daniel Bryan, remember, he only had a backstage set. He wasn't even on the show.
Yeah.
And the crowd just wanted to see him. And it was, from that moment forward, his momentum continued to get bigger and bigger and bigger until WrestleMania 30, where it culminated. So, yeah, that was incredible.
Yes, definitely, yeah.
You look at some of the incredible matches that Bryan had throughout his career. One that I know we all watched was his match with John Cena. If you guys want to pick it up from there, what an incredible championship match that was. That was a major moment in Bryan's career, and up to that point, that was his crowning achievement. Think of this: he pinned John Cena cleanly in the middle of the ring. Let's just talk about that, guys. What's your thoughts on SummerSlam 2013?
You both know, and Cena's my favorite wrestler.
He's a huge fan of John Cena,
and you both know. For some reason, I never liked Daniel Bryan.
That's all right. I always respect him.
Of course, I will respect him.
Right. Always.
But that was one of the greatest matches that I've
ever.
seen.
It was an incredible match. Definitely one of the best in Bryan's career. I mean, Mike, what are your thoughts on SummerSlam? Amazing pay-per-view overall, but just that Bryan Cena match.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, even like, when I look back and I saw some like his events from over the summer, like you can tell he was that one being built up to being like the next big name on the roster pretty much after him and Kane split up.
You're right.
And like, and then whenever Cena had the option to pick his opponent for that match, there was no other choice than to make that match more valuable than Daniel Bryan. And to give him a chance to actually beat Cena was like a huge
clean. I mean, not too many guys get to say they beat Cena clean no bullshit.
Exactly.
Wow. And then, of course, we all know what happened after that match. It led to the birth of the Authority, with Triple H hitting that pedigree on Bryan and Randy Orton cashing in his Money in the Bank. I mean, we could just talk about that. What an incredible! I mean, that still shocked me. Like, that was a holy shit. I did not see.
Yeah.
I mean, what are your guys on the Triple H turn on Bryan? I mean, it was just like, wow. I mean,
Yeah, that was pretty insane. I'll never forget that run.
Yeah, and then from there it was once again off to the races for Daniel Bryan. I mean, his feud with Orton, it was okay. I mean, the fact that they had him lose match after match after match, and Bryan even says in his book, like, the pay-per-view matches that he had with Orton, they were okay. I mean, I like the Hell in a Cell match, but it just felt like we were worried there. When Shawn Michaels screwed Bryan over, and we could talk about this great moment. You remember on the Raw after Hell in a Cell 2013 when Shawn and Bryan had that amazing promo in the ring. I mean, you guys want to talk about that? That was a great moment.
Yeah, I remember that. He put Shawn Michaels in the yes lock and everything, and then went to the backstage and started with the Wyatt family. But yeah, that was an incredible moment. Like, you think about it too, like that could have easily set up like a nice feud between them for WrestleMania if they were thinking about bringing Shawn Michaels back.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what Bryan was thinking, because he didn't know.
Yeah, exactly.
And he says it in the book. I mean, teacher versus student. And I think if Shawn would have ever come back, I mean, that's obviously, it's just going to be a dream match since Bryan retired. But imagine, I mean, that could have been one scenario. I mean, teacher versus student, the man that was trained by Shawn Michaels. I mean, I know they would have had an incredible 5-star match. But my original point was, if Shawn would have come back for any match, I could have seen him coming back for a match against Bryan. Obviously, it didn't happen, but it was a great promo. Shawn, I know you remember this when he was healing it up a little bit. He's like, "You shake my hand, you ungrateful little jerk." And he was like, "Let's go. You better show me the respect." And it was just like,
and he gave it.
Yeah, and they're like, "Yeah, you sold out." They were like, "You sold out." It was a great moment to see teacher and student in the ring together. Another great moment in that run from SummerSlam to WrestleMania, I know you guys remember this, is in the steel cage match when Bryan joined the Wyatt family.
Oh.
Yes, this was great. When it came down to, it was them, the Usos versus Bray and Daniel Bryan. And I know you guys remember when they lost the match, Bryan and Bray, and then Bryan finally turned on Bray Wyatt and the place was going nuts. Your guys' thoughts on that incredible Raw moment, because that's what it was.
Also, him taking off the Wyatt gear with him having his original gear on.
Do you remember the crowd? I've never heard a crowd that loud in a long time. Austin levels, Stone Cold, like that's how loud it was. I mean, Mike, your thoughts?
Right. In that moment too, it felt like it was kind of like the turning point for Daniel Bryan getting back on track. At that time he was probably, his character wise, probably more upper mid card, like kind of like, felt like more like depressed or something like that, because had all the issues having the Authority, and then him being like manipulated by Bray Wyatt, and finally that just him turning on that was kind of like, I feel like a turning point, like on his road to WrestleMania pretty much.
Right. I mean, I'll never forget the unison chants of yes, yes, yes. And he had that crowd in the palm of his hands, and then he beats the shit out of Bray. They're locked inside the cage, so the other members of the Wyatt family can't get inside. And then Bryan climbs up to the top of that steel cage. And I've never, like I said, one of the greatest crowd reactions I've seen ever watching Raw, and one of my all-time favorite great Raw moments. I mean, wow, just incredible. Yes. And then we're going to segue into that. Another great well, this was a match from Bryan's career, and we were there to witness it. Let's talk about Daniel Bryan versus Bray Wyatt at the Royal Rumble. What an incredible match that was to be there.
Yes.
One of the best matches I've ever seen in person. We were there, Mike, Josh, and I, and your guys' thoughts on that. Best match on the show by far.
Yeah.
Probably, yes.
It's just like, that was obviously one of Bray Wyatt's best match. That was probably his best match in his entire career. I mean, he brought out the best in Bray, and Bryan brought his A game as we expected. I mean, I know you remember around this time he suffered a concussion around that time, ironically enough. And do you remember when Bryan dove through the ropes and Bray caught him and hit him with a sister tap? Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Right into the barrier.
That's one of the grabs I think Bray's ever done. And that was just incredible. Like it was like right in the motion and fall through. It wasn't like he just grabbed him and stopped. He just grabbed him, just blah. That was
Bryan hit like that, and it was just like, oh my God. I mean, that certainly did not help his brain that night, but he put his body on the line, and remember the place was going freaking nuts for him. And then remember later on in the night, I mean, who could forget Daniel Bryan chants echoed on throughout. And then we get to the Royal Rumble match, and well, we shit all over it for good reason, because they did not announce. They never said that Daniel Bryan was not going to be in the Royal Rumble match. So right off the bat, there's confusion. And I remember we got to what? It started around, I believe, number 25.
We're like,
and you can feel that sense, like that anticipation. Will Daniel Bryan be in the Royal Rumble match? It has to happen. It is meant to be. It would be the perfect story to go to WrestleMania. And then number 26 came out. And then number 20, I believe Bautista was number 27. And you could hear the mixed reaction. And then number 28 came out. And I think it was Big E. Number 29, I forget who that was. But then we're counting down the number 30. And then Rey Mysterio's music hits, and poor Ray felt so bad for the guy, but he got booed like I've never heard Rey Mysterio booed before. I mean, wow. I mean, I feel bad for Rey, because he was just put in that spot, and the company was dumb enough to think that the fans would not react that way to Daniel Bryan. And I mean, guys, just talk about that atmosphere. I mean, you guys remember, I was upset. I mean, I don't know how you guys.
Yeah, I mean, everybody wanted him to be there, and then that boo, of course, was not towards Ray, but it was more towards the company for making a bad move, not putting it in the company. But yes.
It's like, how could here's the thing: you look back at that Royal Rumble. Remember this? You had guys like Kevin Nash in there, pointless, because he didn't do anything. You had El Torito, pointless, and then you had remember JBL. He took his coat off. He got in the ring. Somebody clotheslined him right out. I think it was Reigns, and then that was it. So you're telling me that they had no room for Daniel Bryan?
Right.
So it's just like, I mean, but the nice thing about that was they were smart enough with CM Punk walking out. Remember that next night on Raw? They turned it into the storyline. Yes. So it did make sense that the Authority would want to keep him out of that Royal Rumble match, and that made his journey that much more incredible. Remember, he had to qualify, beat the Shield on Raw with Cena and Sheamus in order to be in the Elimination Chamber match. Then at the Elimination Chamber, who came out? Kane screwed him over at the end. So the Authority, once again, putting the odds in front of him. Then the next night on Raw, he wants a match against Triple H. Triple H says, oh, I'm not going to fight you. I only fight A-plus players at WrestleMania. And then he says, you have a match against Kane. And if you beat Kane, well, then you might be considered worthy enough to fight the almighty God that is known as Triple H, the King of Kings at WrestleMania. And Bryan and Kane had a good match, and then that just further continued to build the momentum going into WrestleMania 30. I mean, guys, just look at that road to WrestleMania 30. I mean, that was an incredible journey for Bryan?
Yeah, I don't. Going back, I don't know which was louder, the boos for Ray, or the boos for Batista winning.
We could go back to that. Yeah, Bautista. I mean, I felt bad. And Batista even knew. He told Vince, when I come back, I'm probably going to get booed. They're probably going to, don't make me a babyface. And what did they do? They brought him back as a babyface. So, and because it was Bryan's year, and we weren't going to have it any other way. I mean, not to be I love Batista, but you know, it was Bryan's time, and like I said, another great moment that I'm about to bring up is, I know you guys remember this, Occupy Raw.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Let's just talk about that. I mean, wow. Thoughts?
That was pretty much just to, you know, prove Daniel Bryan, all the fans wanted him behind him. You know, they actually made it into not just, you know, the story behind the scenes, but the story involving the fans itself. Like,
right.
There was no better way to push Triple H over the edge than that.
Exactly. Go ahead, Mike.
That's all I was going to say about that. Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, I remember that. I mean, remember Stephanie? She was like, "You get out of my ring. I own all this. I own all of you. Get out!" And she's screaming like a bitch at the top of her lungs, and they're just like, "Okay, we want a match I want a match at WrestleMania 30." Triple H is like, all right, let's go. We got to get the show on. And then Bryan's like, "But that's not all that I want. What I also want is, if I beat you at WrestleMania 30, the main event would become a triple threat match. Batista versus Randy Orton versus Daniel Bryan." And remember, we were worried it was going to be Batista and Randy Orton. That match that nobody wanted to see. This is how you're going to do WrestleMania 30? I wasn't excited for WrestleMania. And I remember I texted you guys that night. As soon as that was announced, those two matches, I was like, I'm officially ready for WrestleMania 30. I was so pumped. I'll never forget how excited I was that night. And every day that I got more and more excited for WrestleMania as the days came on. But wow, just another one of the greatest segments that I've ever seen in the history of Monday Night Raw. And eventually, the weeks would pass, and then we would finally get to the big night, WrestleMania 30, New Orleans. And the whole show was amazing. Probably my favorite WrestleMania ever. Just the experience there of watching it with all your friends around you, having a great time. And that opening match with Bryan and Triple H, guys, thoughts? One of the best if it's not Brett versus Owen as the greatest opening match for WrestleMania, then Bryan versus Triple H has got to be considered the greatest. It's either Owen versus Brett or Bryan versus Triple H is one of the greatest opening matches. I mean, that's how you do it. Smart booking. You start with that match, and then you end with the main event. But I rewatched that match, guys, and it was incredible. I mean, your thoughts on Bryan versus Triple H?
Yeah, I agree with that. I actually watched WrestleMania 30 the other day, and I still get goosebumps.
Right. I'm into them. Like, I was still into the match. I'm like, come on, Bryan. The emotion. Remember, I mean, I know you were rooting for Triple H probably, but with Stephanie out there.
Just the atmosphere was.
The crowd.
Yes.
70, what was it, 75, 76,000? Incredible.
I don't know. They're always lying about their attendance.
Well, but they inflate the numbers. Besides the point. But I remember us, like, pulling for Bryan, and it could have went either way. I mean, who knows? We thought maybe they would have Triple H in their Evolution reunion for the main event. But when Bryan got that running knee, oh man, we went nuts. I remember we were like, yes, now he can make it into the main event of WrestleMania. Mike, your thoughts on this match?
You remember also he was like all bruised up, also taped up also that night. So the way it all went, they like stacked up the odds from like as high as they could, which made him look even stronger. I definitely like how they did that, especially in that first match also. And right after the post match where they had Stephanie pretty much distract him and Triple H attacked him just to hurt him enough so he wouldn't be able to wrestle well enough into the main event, which I think kept the story, going. Like, I think it would have been better than just having Bryan just win and just get off. I think it was better to make the momentum go further, if you know what I mean, keeping the odds stacked high.
Right, because Triple H is a heel. And what do heels do? He's pissed. So what's he going to do after the match? He's going to take Bryan's shoulder and freaking hit it with a chair, So that's what good heels do. Then that gets more heat on Triple H and places the seed of doubt. So you don't know as you said, you don't know what's going to happen in that main event. And going into it, we're like, shit, Bryan's got a banged up shoulder. This is going to be a tough odd to go. You're in a triple threat match. No disqualifications. So I mean, right then and there, the pressure was on, and as we also know that night, something else legendary came to an end, and of course, that was the 21-0 winning streak of The Undertaker. And the reason I bring this up is because not only a shocking moment, Bryan mentions it in his book. You think about it, the crowd was dejected after that. I mean, you saw the looks on people's faces. Shock. We're shocked at home. I should have.
You could hear a pin drop in our your living room, and then you could also hear a pin drop in the Mercedes-Benz.
And like I said, the reason I bring that up is because you remember there was the Divas Battle Royale after that for the, and the crowd was not into it, as to be expected. They were pissed, and when that main event comes, I'm thinking, they got to win that crowd back over. They got to get the crowd back into it, and to their testament, by the end of that match, they got the crowd back into it, because that triple threat match was an incredible match. It really was. I mean, guys, thoughts on that awesome, amazing triple threat match between Batista, Orton, and Bryan for the title?
You can go first, Josh.
Well, watching it the other day, reliving it, there was a time, I'm not sure what happened. I think Batista hit a spear on, was it Daniel? And then Orton threw him out. No. Batista hit a spear. Someone pins. How did it go? I forget. I'm drawing a blank.
That's okay.
Batista almost won the match.
All right.
And I was like, oh, wow.
Is that when Bryan did the flying
really going to do this. They're really going to let Batista win the title.
It was a near fall.
Yeah, and then he kicked out, and I was like, okay. Like, I wanted Orton to win. But
you were an Orton guy.
But then there was a part of me who was saying, like, let Daniel win this and see how special the moment would actually be.
You knew if he would be able to win that after everything that he was been through. That's what made it so great. That if he would finally win that title, you held it off long enough.
Because I shoved it in your guy's face for months.
That he wasn't going to do it. He was a B+ player. You know exactly what the authority was saying. And I mean, I know you guys remember this incredible moment from that match. Okay, they're on the announcer's table. And Batista gets Bryan up for the Batista bomb. And he hits the Batista bomb, and Orton hits the RKO through the tables. I mean, I knew that was an incredible, what a move. And then Orton hit his back off the monitor. I mean, he got effed up. Could have been worse, and then they brought the stretcher over for Bryan, and we were worried. We were like, maybe he really did get hurt. They got you to believe. That's when moments like that are when wrestling is at its best. Yeah. And we're like, maybe he won't be able to finish this match. And then you see him. And then he starts to get that energy, and he starts shaking his head. They're like, Bryan, no, you can't. No, you can't. Bryan gets off the stretcher. He gets back in the ring, and then boom, to that finish where he gets Batista in with the yes lock. And then finally, after months and months, Batista taps out. We go nuts. And it's just like, wow, guys, thoughts on Daniel Bryan winning and main eventing WrestleMania 30, that title win. I mean, to me, it's special. That's how I best describe it.
All right. Well, to me, I was humble about it because I felt like it was coming. I sat there and I was silent and I just smiled while you guys were.
We enjoyed it.
You guys were enjoying it and shoving it in my face. But I wasn't sad about it because it was a cool moment.
He earned it.
And you guys remember I was just smiling while you guys were shoving it in my face.
Because it was surreal. And Mike, your thoughts on that incredible title win?
Well, also, you remember the Authority actually came out also.
Right.
And even brought Scott Armstrong out also. Again, like I said before.
The crooked ref. Beautiful storytelling. Thank you. Man. I mean, go ahead about that. I remember that. I should have brought that up too. And then, remember he took out all three of them, dived through the ropes. And then he got the sledgehammer, and it's just like, wow. And, what an incredible match. And I think we might have lost Mike. I apologize about that. Oh, no, we got Mike. He's still there. Anyways, Mike is still there. You there?
Yeah, I got disconnected somehow, yeah. But yeah,
okay.
is again stacking the odds against us, and then bringing out the sledgehammer also, because
Right.
Triple H has had the sledgehammer moment, and of course they turn that around, have Bryan attack Triple H and erase the authority from the equation. But I
Beautiful.
also think having Batista tap out was also the best way to finish.
Symbolic,
that.
right?
Not just a simple running knee, but to have the tap out. I like that a lot better.
Seeing, Connor Mahalik, the kid that died of brain cancer, was there in the front row, and it always, I always get emotional thinking about how he got to see his hero Daniel Bryan achieve and overcome all odds put in front of him, and that was a special moment for Connor, and for him to see that always brings a tear to my eye. And that's what it's all about right there, putting smiles on people's faces. And Connor had a big smile that night, and definitely a great moment for him and for all of us as fans. And I'm sure there are many other moments that we could talk about for Daniel Bryan's career, but I figured it would be fitting to finish up right there with his amazing title win at WrestleMania 30, the greatest moment of his career, in my opinion. And we'll wrap things up, guys. Final thoughts on Daniel Bryan's career, and just, yeah.
It was a very incredible story, having him as the underdog fighting to the top of that WrestleMania moment. And, now you think of it, it's like, I know we wanted to see him longer, but,
Right.
It was great that he even got to capture that right before, the injury started to pile on him that ended his career, and then like him coming back for like one more short run, and it felt special.
Title.
Right, yeah. It felt special given that Grand Slam title, whatever the heck they say it is, and you get all of them. But even like when he came out and relinquished that Intercontinental title, you felt that, I felt like, I'm not saying that I felt that it was the end, but I felt like him coming back one last time to see him like satisfied me. I mean, I wanted to see him come back again, of course, and just do more, but unfortunately, I felt that night. I felt that this could be the end. I felt
Right. And Josh, if you want your final thoughts on Daniel Bryan.
All right. Well, you see, America, everyone's always on the come up, right? Everyone wants the underdog to win. So there was a lot of people that was on his side going against the higher power.
He was the wrestler.
He was the wrestler, and he was just like the
average Joe, blue collar, hard work, and bust his ass every night in that ring.
And I have the most respect for him, and I think it's best that he did this because he has a life to live. He has a family.
He will have a family.
Yes.
That's the most important thing.
And you don't want him having
to be in a wheelchair
issues later on in life, and I feel like him doing that was the right move.
I full-heartedly, like I said, and I'll wrap things up here, full-heartedly support his decision to retire. As you guys said, it was the right move to make, and it's tough to say goodbye, but I know we'll see him make appearances from time to time. And thank you, Daniel Bryan, for all of the wonderful moments, for all of the great matches, for putting your body on the line every night you stepped in that ring, for truly inspiring me and keeping me as a fan to continue my love of professional wrestling, to believe in you, because I knew that you would be able to accomplish your dreams. And you main eventing WrestleMania 30 is something that WWE can never, ever take away from you. And you were truly one of the greatest I've ever seen wrestle, and you will most certainly be a WWE Hall of Famer.
Yes.
And with that, thank you all for watching. We appreciate it. And please stay tuned tonight, 11:30 p.m., for my WWE Fastlane 2016 review. Hopefully it'll be a good show tonight. Mike, you want to get in a plug for your channel real quick?
Yeah, again, as usual, I do all sorts of stuff just for fun, and do stuff for WWE as all. Just like, post my predictions and little talk shows here and there. You can subscribe to me at The Club of the Man 1993.
All right. And with that, we are out. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.
Peace.